So I've spent the last 12 years doing digital marketing in one form or another. Had lots of successes, had plenty of failures. And when I started off to do this talk, it was going to be exactly what Carolyn just read, which was how businesses can use digital marketing tactics today successfully to effectively. Because in all these years doing this, and I've been in EO 10 years, the number one conversation I have with my EO friends and business colleagues is they say, gosh, I tried running a Google ad, it didn't work. I tried running a Facebook ad, it didn't work. I don't know how to make it work. Or I paid an agency so much money and nothing happened. They built me a beautiful website, but no one does anything. It doesn't work. So that's what my topic was going to be about. Ooh, I forgot my clicker, sorry. That was what my talk was going to be about. But then something happened in the last couple weeks that, which was, oops, up is, oh, there we go. Cambridge Analytica happened. And I'm sure most of you have followed this incredible privacy breach that Facebook's calling it. You know, Mark Zuckerberg was in front of Congress the last 2 days. It was kind of a joke if anyone watched it. And everyone suddenly realized, oh my gosh, we've given up our privacy, we need to quit Facebook. And I realized that this talk had to be about something different. Because to understand what's happening with Cambridge Analytica and to understand what digital marketing is happening today, you have to understand where it comes from and why the genie was out of the box a long time ago. It's not going back in. And it's important to us as business people and as consumers and as citizens to understand why and how this stuff works. It starts with a sales funnel, which is going to be the topic of my original. We all use sales funnels. It's the oldest topic in the book, sales book. You go to trade shows, you get prospects, you do cold calling, you do all that stuff. You find those few people that might be interested, and then you nurture them and coax them, and they become leads, and they become prospects, and down. But that's nothing more than digital marketing. That's how digital marketing is done effectively. We use it just that same way. And it all started with this, the cookie. Everyone knows what a cookie is. A cookie is a little piece of code that websites can put on your browser so that website knows you came back. And I remember when we first started really using cookies, and it was incredibly exciting because suddenly we could learn more about these customers coming back and forth. And pretty soon we realized, my gosh, maybe we can tailor our message to some of those consumers a little bit differently based on what they do. And then along came Google. And Google's not really a search engine. People think of it as a search engine. But really, it was a place everybody went all the time. Everybody went to Google and made their searches. And then those searches led to behavior. And because everybody went to Google, Google was able to learn more about those people. And we as businesses that advertised on Google very heavily learned quickly that even while initially, I was in skincare for a long time, and I still am. At first you could bid on the term wrinkle cream, and people would buy. They would click that ad and they'd buy. But after a while, it got more competitive. So what you had to do is then bid on lots of terms. Wrinkle cream, best natural wrinkle cream. What's the best wrinkle cream for women over 45? On and on and on and on. And you had to be in all those things. Well, that's a funnel. And we realized that those searchers would come back, search after search after search, and then finally buy. And we used to always say it took about 5 searches, someone come back to our website, to finally buy. Well, that's now a lot bigger number. I heard recently it was 8 on average. We call them marketing touches. I think it's closer to 10 or 12. But Google had a problem, and that was Google could learn a lot about people from their searches. They could learn what you were looking for, because they track every search you ever did, because they're cooking you. But they needed a way for you to log in. They needed to know more about you. They knew there was this thing, this cookie out there searching, but they wanted to know who that person was. And so they came up with what I think is the single best Trojan horse that's ever been done in marketing, and no one ever thinks of it. Gmail. Well, there was a time we paid for email. Why was Gmail free? It wasn't so Google could brand itself. It was because then you logged on to Google. You gave Google your first name, your last name, your email address. Well, they were your email address. And of course, they search your email. That's part of the terms and conditions if you read them. So then now they could learn about this person. They could make all these searches and all this data come together into a person and a persona, and they could learn about that person and then more effectively market to them. And the reason I say Google's not just a search engine, most of the banner ads you see on websites all around the internet are run by Google with the same targeting data they use in their search engine. And because of that, they were able to offer marketers like me better targeting, so I was able to reach those customers again and again and again and again. But mobile started complicating things, and along came Facebook. Well, Facebook took things to a completely different level. Mark Zuckerberg, or whoever in his organization, realized early on that this cool tool they had built to share photos and updates at Harvard had an amazing advantage. They didn't have to guess what your searches were, what you were looking for. They didn't have to infer anything. You would just tell them. They didn't have to guess, are you married, are you divorced? You just tell them, it's complicated. They didn't have to guess where you were going. You would take photos, upload them, which are geotagged always, and they knew where you were going. They knew what you liked. They knew what you didn't like. They knew who your friends were. You told them everything. We all told them everything. And that led to the greatest tool in marketing, prospecting, which goes back to our funnel, that I think has ever been developed, which is Facebook's targeting system. I don't know how many of you have used Facebook as an ad platform, but this is some of the targeting criteria you can use to find prospects on Facebook. Your demographics, your age, everything you can think of, but also your interests, what you're interested in. Now understand, you may not have to tell Google, I'm interested in horses. But you know what, if you've liked a bunch of things about horses, and your friends like things about horses, they figure they probably like horses. And you can mix and match all these criteria, and then it gets more interesting, because they know your connections, they know who your friends are, because you told them. And they know what your friends are talking about. And they have this amazing thing called custom audiences that lets you upload the data about your customers, and then it'll help you find people just like them, because everything's about AI, like Carolyn mentioned. And they say artificial intelligence, it's really just big matching algorithms that say, gosh, these people look like these people. And in fact, one of the classic stories, and it was both Google and Facebook have gotten dinged for this, they started showing ads about pregnancy-related things to women who didn't even know they were pregnant yet. Just because their behaviors changed in a subtle way that the machines picked up and said, oh, she's pregnant, I'll start serving that. And they got in trouble for that. Another classic thing that Facebook did that they got in big trouble for and should have been much bigger press than Cambridge Analytica is they did a study with some researchers. And these researchers took a random batch of Facebook users and they split them into two groups. And they subtly tuned what was shown in their feed. And based on how they could tune it, they could change those people's levels of happiness on average up or down. Pretty powerful. And we all think we're smart, we all are smart, but we are highly influenced by repetition, which goes back to the funnel, because I, as a marketer, want to get in front of you lots of times. So the process, Cambridge Analytica is not about Facebook. It's been going on for a long time. This data has been out there a long time. You have to think about the number of companies that have information about you similar to Facebook. People don't think about it. Those are just someone I randomly pulled. Of course, credit agencies know more about you than anyone. So if you think you quit Facebook and your privacy is secure, Mark Zuckerberg's testifying in front of Congress for basically following his own terms and conditions with Cambridge Analytica, yet Experian lost basically all of our information for everybody, was it Facebook or not? So, and let alone where, the number of people, as a marketer, I can take your email address and probably your first name, put it for 15 to 20 cents into any number of companies, and they'll return most of the data that Facebook will tell me about those people. We do it with our customers all the time. So that comes back to how it works today. So, me as a marketer, we start with Facebook usually because it's a great way to mine that prospecting database. We go out there and we search, and we try audience after audience. We mix and match these things, and we put videos in front of people because videos work really well. Because the neat thing about Facebook feed is you're scrolling through. If you pause and watch more than, say, 30 seconds of my video, or 3 seconds, or 10 seconds, depends on the video, I know you're interested. And Facebook will then, you may not have clicked through to my site. Facebook will then let me retarget you. Take it down the next step of the funnel. And then I know you're interested now. I know you're close to my prospects, so I'll serve you another ad, and I'll pay more for that. And then once you click to my website, my gosh, I'll put my friend the cookie from Google, and Facebook, and Yahoo, and 10 other places on you, because now I want to follow you all around the web, because I know you're interested in what I've got. And I'll keep putting messages in front of you. And if you add something to my cart and don't buy, you'll start getting coupons. You've all seen this happen. I'm certainly not the only person doing this, and I didn't invent any of it. But you all see it all the time. And that is what comes back to the point about how we need to think about this thing as businesses and as citizens. Because as a business, you have to know how this stuff works. You have to understand why that marketing agency you hired that bought you some ads on Google failed, because they didn't actually look at this thing from a holistic perspective. They wasted your money on some ads and put you number one on wrinkle cream, but that's not where people buy. And maybe it's plumbing, maybe it's Boise Plumbing, buying houses, it doesn't matter, it's all the same. And this is the same with Facebook and all these tools. So you have to understand how many times you have to touch a consumer before they buy. But it's not about just big budgets, it's about smart budgets. Furthermore, as a consumer, I think it's very, very important to understand that this is happening, that this is what's going on. This is all that what the Cambridge Analytica guys did. They took these principles and applied it to politics. And trust me, the party that won was not the only party using someone exactly like Cambridge Analytica. It's being used all the time. It will be used in every election going forward. It'll be used all the time. And it's going to happen. And it doesn't matter if we quit Facebook or regulate Facebook, because Facebook's not the only thing. Google has at least 3 times more information about us than Facebook ever thought of having. And they're nothing compared to the credit agencies and the credit card companies. All this stuff. And it's scary, but it's the world we live in. And I get asked all the time, well, did you quit Facebook? I said, heck no. I like Facebook. Because I'm going to get targeted. I know it's going to happen. And getting off Facebook's not going to change that. But to conclude, what I think is important is to think of it as a citizen. Because these techniques can be applied in really dark ways that make Cambridge Analytica look like nothing. I didn't do this infographic, but you guys may have read in the last month or so, or especially the last couple weeks, that China is testing a social credit score. And so they can take all of the information, because they have everything about their citizens. Everything from how much time you spend online playing games, to what you blog about. Everything you do, every action you do is rolled up in this credit score that they're testing. And they've realized that the most powerful mechanism of social control is not just jailing people that said what they didn't want to say, although they'll still do that, but they've realized, no, you know what's more powerful? Slowing their internet speed down. Because that's actually one of the things they've talked about. If your credit score is not high, you get lower internet speeds. You can't get on, you can buy train tickets, but not the fast train. You can't buy plane tickets, you can't get a good mortgage rate. There's no more effective tool that's ever been built, and they will roll this out, and they will use it. It'll be interesting to watch over the coming years if there's a backlash around that. Because you wonder how much you can control people till it breaks, because the tools are only as powerful as people let them be. And so that's what I urge you to go forward, is in your business, think about these things and realize what's going on with your competitors and with your own marketing teams. As consumers, with what messages you're being shown. And as citizens, where we as a country and the world is going in terms of control. Thank you very much.